Greetings everyone, it's Kaz here, and today I'd like to welcome you all to Gamers Talking Trash, the new series where we see exactly what gamers are thinking and what their thoughts are on certain games and topics in the industry today. So today we'll be taking a look and seeing what everyone thinks of Star Wars Battlefront 2 ahead of its reveal this weekend. So let's take a look and see what trash people are talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm sure we're going to get some pretty interesting comments. DICE is the new Ubisoft. I don't know if I can necessarily deny that. They've certainly done some interesting stuff with pricing and stuff like that in DLC within the past few years with Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefield 1. We've seen some sketchy stuff there, but we do have to remember that EA is making these decisions, not DICE. DICE is just merely the developer, whereas EA is making these executive decisions. So if anything, do blame EA. But overall, I do think a lot of these companies do take more crap and more flack than they actually deserve, with of course the only exception to that rule being Activision. Hopefully on Nintendo Switch. I could not agree more. It's never going to happen. As a matter of fact, the chances of that happening are so minimal, but I would freak out. I would love this thing on my Nintendo Switch. Imagine playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, this huge AAA multiplayer experience, wherever you want, on the go. I love my Nintendo Switch. Please make this happen. The chances are so small considering EA doesn't necessarily yet have any proof on exactly how reliable the Switch is, as they're yet to release any major games. They've still got to wait on FIFA and things like that to see if the proof's in the pudding for the platform. Perhaps we'll see some AAA games on it down the line, but I think Battlefront 2 is too early to tell. Maybe we'll see the next Battlefield or even the next Battlefront, Battlefront 3 or whatever they may be down the line, but for now, Battlefront 2 has got a very small chance. Can't wait for another game pushed out long before it has what the fans want. He's got a fair point here. People hated the original Battlefront as it had a lot of lack of content and things like that. So if they make this same mistake again, I don't think they will. They've got 3 development studios this time, but if they do happen to make it again and the EA executives overprice everything and make everything DLC like they did in the first game, like they did in Battlefield 1, then that may be a huge issue. I don't know if people can give EA and DICE the pass if it happens again. I don't think it will. So let's pray and hope that doesn't happen again. Let's hope we get some sizable, decent amount of content here. And the single player campaign should really help with that as well. I hope it will be more like the original Battlefront series. I completely agree with that. They do emphasize, in my mind at least, everything we want from a Star Wars game. And I know the original Battlefront was built as this thing, as this juggernaut that was going to fulfill your fantasy Star Wars battles, but it really didn't do that at all, because it had to play within the canon of the Star Wars universe. So it really failed to do that substantially, but I would love to see things that are in the original Battlefront series, like the Clone Wars, along with the different kinds of game modes and mechanics that made those original games, by all accounts, really fun. So I really hope that's something they can do moving forward. Now, DICE aren't idiots, EA aren't deaf, they're not absolute morons, they understand this is what we want, but it's whether or not the corporate and money decisions come into things, when they come into things, whether or not that benefits them. Does it benefit them as a corporation for them to give us that kind of game? I don't know the answer to that question. As a matter of fact, no one does unless you're inside the business side of EA, but all I can do is hope that that is beneficial to all parties involved, as it will definitely be beneficial to the consumer and to us as gamers, because that's what we want. Don't get overexcited, it's just going to be a cinematic trailer. This is one of my biggest fears. If I were to go out on a limb and predict, I actually think we're going to get both. I think we're going to get a cinematic trailer and a short glimpse into gameplay as well. We're not going to get an extended demo or anything, but I think we might get a glimpse into gameplay as well. The cinematic trailer, unfortunately, because as cool as they are, they're not really what we want. We want to see what this game is. So that's going to be disappointing, but there's almost a 90%, 100% chance we're going to get that cinematic trailer. There's almost no doubt there. So he's got a good point, but at the same time, I do really hope there's going to be gameplay, and while I don't think it's necessarily overly likely, I don't think it's unlikely either. Don't be shocked if we do see gameplay, but again, set your expectations realistically. I think since the first one was a letdown for the general public, that this one will be extremely better. Of course, there will be a season pass and all that, but when is there not? Gameplay-wise, I think this will be 10 times better though, and that's a really good positive outlook to have, which I can't believe gamers actually do in comment sections. Oh my god, he's positive, holy moly. But in all all seriousness, yes, there is of course going to be a season pass, and I don't necessarily have a huge problem with season passes and DLC, that model as a whole. Do I wish they existed? Not really. I wish they didn't exist, but they do exist, and I haven't got a massive problem with them. Like, I'm not here losing sleep over DLC and season passes. So I'm totally okay with that, as long as they're fairly priced, as long as we get a decent amount of content for what we're paying for, unlike the original Battlefront, then I'm totally fine with the DLC. But gameplay wise, I think he has a good point here. I don't know if it's going to be 10 times better, because I actually thought gameplay wise that the original Battlefront was totally cool. Like, the multiplayer was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's just, it was more of a framework, and it was really shallow overall. So I don't know if gameplay wise the game's going to improve a lot, because I thought it was already stellar. I'll get it for 20, I don't know if that's pounds, I think it's pounds, or it might be euros, I apologise. With all the DLC 1 year later, like I did with Star Wars Battlefront, The Division, and many other games, ha 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 ha. This will be the outlook of many people if they do the same route. If they make it a full price game, then if they also at the same time have a season pass that is almost all more expensive than the base game. If they do that again, then many people will capitalise on this kind of deal, which is totally fine. That's the consumer's right, and I more than encourage this. If they do this BS again with the season pass being almost the same price as the real game, that's total trash. And if the trailer doesn't blow your mind, then for sure, if you're not super hyped about this game, if you don't need to have a day one, totally take part in this mentality. That's great, go for it. Better have a freaking campaign mode. Without campaign, it's not worth $60, more like $20. Now, I don't know if it's worth $20 without campaign, but it's certainly not worth $60. I think the original Battlefront was more of a $40, 40 US dollars that is. I think that's what that game was worth in terms of what we got from it. But this game's definitely going to be $60. It's always going to be $60 with these big AAA games, no matter what, whether there's a campaign or not. But luckily this time we do have a campaign, so don't you worry, sir. There's a campaign. Don't freak out. It'll be $60, but hopefully it'll be worth it. One map, 2 guns, and $150 DLC. Now, I found this comment funny. As inaccurate and as exaggerated as it is, he's got a good point there. That's kind of the basis of what the original Battlefront was, and this is proving that there is still a lot of negativity about what EA and DICE did with the original Battlefront, and they need to redeem themselves here, because if they don't, they're going to get absolutely crapped on for the rest of their upcoming games, at least in the near future. Another pretty funny comment, don't forget the 5 DLC trailers with it. That kind of made me chuckle. That's the only reason it's on here, because we know how this stereotype is with EA and DICE. This one represents pretty much how I feel with the Clone Wars. EA, $150 DLC. Nice try, I ain't buying shit. EA, Clone Wars DLC. Sweating. That's pretty funny. I would probably be the same, even though I'm getting the game no matter what. That's pretty much what represents me right there. If there's Clone Wars DLC, I'm buying it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a complete sucker, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like this. I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be shocked if they add DLC and it's Clone Wars and they make you buy it because they know you'll buy it. Ha ha ha, greedy EA. That's pretty funny, and I would totally buy it. So, EA, you heard it here first. You could totally do that. We'd all buy it, and you'd win. So that's the general consensus of what gamers think of Star Wars Battlefront 2 pre-reveal. That's what they're thinking of it. So what do you guys think of Star Wars Battlefront 2? Do leave your comments down below. That would be very much appreciated. Do subscribe to the channel if you are new here. But that's enough from me. Thank you all very much for watching today's video. I'll see you all next time. Have a great day. Farewell.